Hello, everyone. This is Kyle Galaz with Poor2Pro Car Sales Training Podcast. Become a sales titan. This is Season 3, Episode 6. We're going to be talking about the customer's hidden checklist. Whether customers tell you or not, they have a checklist in their mental state when they're buying a vehicle, or they're going to buy a vehicle, or they're just looking to buy a vehicle. There's this checklist they have that you have to hit these points and get these check marks off in their brain for them to buy a car from you. And if you only hit a few of these check boxes, you're going to get responses like, well, this is the first place we stopped. We're just looking today. They're going to make up all the reasons to leave because you didn't hit these check boxes. Now, what's interesting about customers is instead of telling you, hey, these are the things that I need to find and these are my check boxes, they keep them secret. And it's our job as salespeople to figure out, okay, I got to make sure I hit all these check boxes for me to stack the odds in my favor of selling them a car. Because guess what? The salesman down the street at the other dealership doesn't know about the hidden check boxes that this podcast episode is going to tell you. So I need on this particular episode is you get a pen out, and we're going to go over each check box. So that way you can stack the odds in your favor to sell them a car and turn that looker into a buyer and turn that buyer that was going to shop around at 5 different places today to stop and buy from you the first place they looked, okay? So let's get started. The first check box that a customer requires for them to buy a car from you is, are you listening? Write that down, listening with a little check box. When I go to a coffee stand and the lady is taking my order for 4 coffees and she doesn't write anything down, she's just kind of, okay, and I assume that, okay, at least 1 or 2 of my coffees are going to be messed up, right? So if a person, not saying you have to write everything down that your customer says, but you have to be actively listening to your customer. Because a customer, when they're talking, they're looking at cues on your body. Are you actually listening to them, to their wants and needs in the vehicle? Okay, so active listening to a customer is very important. Remember, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. We need to listen double time to these customers because what they're saying is extremely important. And remember, the more the customer talks, the more ammo they give you to close the deal later. So that's why asking questions is so important, because you get the customer to talk and you can start building a mental file of how to close this customer later, because they're going to say things like, yeah, the last place we went, the salesman didn't do this. Oh, okay. Active listening. I can pick up on these things and figure out what it takes to sell them a car and find them the right car. Because a lot of times customers don't know exactly what they want, but we can dissect by what they're saying by actively listening to find the perfect vehicle for them. Even if it's a vehicle they never even thought about, active listening is very important. So the first check box of this episode is listening. It's so important. Okay, now this next one is a big check box. Rapport. Okay, write that down, rapport. Building rapport is one of the most important things in a car deal. Yes, finding the right vehicle, yes, finding the right color, etc., is important. But how many times have you sold a car to somebody that it wasn't the right color, it wasn't the right even brand or model, right? Because they liked you so much and they trusted you so much. So when you have a customer, you need to build a very, very strong relationship, because they'll make decisions based on how much they like you versus how much they like the car. Guess what? You are more important to this sales process, to their buying process, than the actual vehicle they're buying, which sounds crazy, but it happens all the time. Yeah, the other dealership has a lower price, lower miles, and more features, and they still bought from you. Why? It's because they liked you. They trusted you. They liked the dealership, and they trusted the dealership. If you guys have never heard of this word, advocate, when you can turn a customer into an advocate, it is one of the best things for marketing for yourself, to get referrals, because an advocate goes out of their way to talk about you after the sale. They could be at a little get together and they hear someone talking about, hey, I'm thinking about buying a car, and your name comes up instantly. Oh, you got to go see him at this dealership. Oh, he sold me my car. He's awesome. That's an advocate that's not even getting anything from you, that's talking about you. So when you're building rapport, think about not just the sale right now, which is very important, right? That's why we're here to sell a car. But try to turn that customer into an advocate that's going to talk positive about your dealership, that's going to talk positive about you and the process and the vehicle that you sold them, and that they were able to make their dreams come true buying. So building rapport is extremely important. It's a big checkbox. Okay, next checkbox, write this down, is how does the salesperson look? Now, if you work at a dealership that has a pretty relaxed dress code, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's how you have to dress. When a customer comes on the lot and they meet a true professional, their willingness to give up money, down payment. Remember, these people work hard for this money. They want to give it to somebody that looks professional, sounds professional. Yeah, it's superficial, but we have to come to the realization that customers judge us just as sometimes we judge them. And when I personally go shopping somewhere, I want to deal with somebody that I can look up to, and I have no problem giving my money up to somebody that's like, okay, yeah, this guy's a pro, take my money. Okay, so you need to be that for your customers. Remember, just because your dealership has a relaxed dress code doesn't mean you have to abide by it. Dress like a 10 every day. Go in looking like a true professional, and you'll start selling more cars and convincing people that you may not even be comfortable with selling, right? This really high-end customer that pulls up in a high-end car that you may feel a little bit of awkwardness with at first, right? But if you look like a 10 and you're dealing with people every day, they can look up to you as a salesperson, and they're more willing to spend money with you. So you got to look the part, look like a pro every single day. And if you notice, the more or the better you look, the better your outfit. Isn't it interesting how you feel better? When you look in the mirror right before you go out somewhere and you're just dressed like a 10, doesn't it make you feel better? Well, guess what? That confidence and that feeling you get wears off on customers when they come to the lot, because you have this swagger about you and this confidence. So look the part, look professional. Okay, this next part is this next checkbox is your facility / dealership. Now, not everything at the dealership is your responsibility, right? You're a sales guy, and you go to work to sell cars. You don't go to work to clean, but you do have your little area that you work deals at. So make sure that little area is clean, because when a customer sits down and there's good amenities and the desk is clean and it smells nice in your area, right? They're picking apart every little thing. Customers are extremely smart. They're picking apart everything, and they're looking at their spouse or their significant other over here, and they're saying, when you get up to work the deal, what do you think, honey? I really like this place. I want to do business here. Those are little conversations that they have when you're up at the desk working your deal. So again, your facility and dealership, if you see some trash on the ground, pick it up, throw it away, because these are little things that weigh on customers' minds when they come into a place of business. When I walk into a business and it's filthy, I instantly want to turn around. I still give it a chance. I'm not going to turn around instantly, but I got that weird feeling like, oh man, this place is nasty. So again, stacking the odds in your favor, you got to hit these checklists. The customer's not going to say anything about your desk being dirty or the carpet being nasty, but remember that little hidden checklist, you're going to miss that box. So make sure you keep your area nice and clean. Okay, another big one. This is a big box. Value building. Value building is more than just building value in the car. Value building is building value in the dealership, building value in the product you're selling, building value in the story of how you even came into the car business. There's lots of little things that build value. Of course, one of the most important things is building value in the car, because you want the value of that car to surpass the price when you're doing your product presentation, demonstration drives, things like that. So value building is one of the big check boxes that you got to hit. If you're going through the car process and you're not hitting value building, you're just kind of skimming over the walk around, skimming over the test drive, you're not really building a friend, you're going to miss out on a lot of sales. You'll miss out on most of the tougher deals, because the tougher customers require more. They require more of these check boxes to hit. If it's a get-me-done customer, check boxes don't matter. They just want to get approved. And a lot of salesmen are great at the get-me-dones, right? Because that's the easiest sale. Just Yeah, if you get me approved, I'll take it. Well, you're going to find out pretty quick if they can get approved or not, because they didn't require you to listen. They didn't care what you look like. They don't care if your desk is clean or dirty. They don't need rapport building. They just want to know if they can get approved. But the tougher deals, those guys that do require all that, these customers, you got to make sure you hit all these check boxes. And value building is one of them. So make sure you guys are spending a lot of time on the lot with the customer, building value in yourself, your dealership, and the product. You got to build value in all those things. Okay, the next checkbox is, are you making it a fun experience for your customers? And you can use Disneyland or these theme parks as an example. When a customer goes to Disneyland, they are filled with joy and happiness and fun. And when you get a Disneyland customer on that much ether and they're having so much fun, they'll go spend $20 on a hamburger that tastes like a $3 hamburger. They'll go spend $8 on a drink that tastes like a $2 drink. They'll spend all this money on this on this experience because they're having fun. And when they're having fun, they can't. When their head's full of fun, their head won't be full of doubt. When their head's full of fun, their head's not full of skepticism. So if you can have your customer in a fun mood and you're making it a fun experience, then their head can't be full of skepticism and doubt. You can't have both in your head at the same time at 100%. It's one or the other. You can have 80 or 20% skepticism, 80% fun, but you're not going to have 100 and 100. So when you're with a customer and you want them to kind of break loose, make it a fun experience for them. Some of the things you can do on the lot is, one of the things I used to do is we'd get a customer in a trunk, or we would climb up in the back of the bed, both of us, and we would kind of like bounce on the bed and talk about the suspension, just little things like that. Make it a fun experience, or pair up their phone and tell them to put on their favorite song. That was one of the techniques I used in the Maseratis to demonstrate how good a Bowers & Wilkins sound system is. Okay, because you go to a satellite radio, it doesn't sound good at all. But I would say, hey, let's get your phone out. Do you have some music on there? Yeah. Let's pair it up, right? Taking ownership. We'll pair up your phone and let's put on one of your favorite songs. And then now their phone's paired to it. They're kind of taking a little bit of ownership, but then they get to listen to their favorite song. And those are the little things that you can make it have fun. Tell a joke. If you're funny, be funny. You just got to make it have fun, because then the experience, their whole personality changes when they're having fun. Okay? All right. Moving on to the next one. We kind of skipped this one, but the meet and greet. Definitely on the checkbox. You got to have a strong meet and greet. Introduce yourself. Get all their names. Write down their names. Introduce your dealership, how long the dealership's been in business, etc., etc., etc. You got to have a strong meet and greet, because the meet and greet sets up the whole deal. It also sets up that you're in control of this process. It also sets up that you're a professional. So on the checkbox, you got to have a strong meet and greet, because it sets up the whole deal. I've talked about the meet and greet in a lot of my podcast episodes. My the book I'm writing right now, it's called Mastering the Meet and Greet. It's the first part of an 11-book series, and hopefully that'll be out towards the end of the year. But the meet and greet is so crucial to the process. It's insane. So make sure you don't do a poor meet and greet and just say, hey, how can I help you? No, welcome to our dealership. My name is Kyle Galaz, and you are? Thank you for coming in. What brings you in today? Right? Powerful meet and greet. And you get all their names and you write them down. Okay. Next checkbox, the demonstration drive, the demo drive. Customers will say this all the time. Oh, I've driven them before. I know how they drive. Well, completely understandable. But for me to move forward in this deal, I got to have you test drive it, because every vehicle drives different. If they were the same vehicle, then they'd have the same VIN number. It's just a requirement for our dealership, and I want to really make sure that this is the right vehicle for you. You just got to let me continue my job, because my manager's always looking. Okay, you got to come up with the reason why to get them on that demo drive if they're very reluctant. If you did the proper walk around presentation, then they want to drive the truck anywhere or the car, because you did such a good walk around that they're chomping at the bit to test drive, which we've talked about before. So You got to do a killer walk around to set up a killer demo drive. But you have to test drive the customer because you need them to feel the wheel. Remember that? To seal the deal, you got to have them feel the wheel, or whatever that saying is. Feel the wheel is to seal the deal. I can't remember it exactly. But the demo drive is very, very important, and that has to be on your checklist. Okay, the next checkbox, this is a real big one, is your walk around. The walk around is what the difference between an amateur and a pro is. Because when I see I can tell what kind of salesman I'm with or training the moment they start their walk around. Well, guess what? Customers are smart and they can see it too. When a salesman is doing a customized walk around for me because he's listened to all my hot buttons and he knows in detail why the manufacturer did certain things on the car, and he can tell me about the vehicle in great detail, but not going overboard and not boring me. He's not an encyclopedia, but he knows his stuff. That is the kind of walk around you need to be doing for your customers. Because the average car sales guy is going to know some stats. He's going to point out, the color and some of the lines and how it drives, but he doesn't have the knowledge of his product. And the walk around is extremely important because it demonstrates that you know your product, and second, you can demonstrate the product and how it's going to benefit the sales or the customer's lives after they purchase it. Things that they can show off to their friends, things that they can use out in the real world. So the walk around is an extremely big checkbox. So make sure you write that down. Okay, now here's some more check boxes that we won't take a lot of time in. And one of them is the right color. We do sell a lot of vehicles that aren't the color the customer asked for. But this goes back to listening. You want to acknowledge that the customer is looking for a red truck, a red half-ton. Okay? And you're going to do everything in your power that they can visually see that you're trying to find them the right color. A lot of times, though, when you walk the lot with a customer, there's always that secondary color or third color that they'll be okay with. But you want to acknowledge that, okay, we're going to look for a red F-150. Well, let's take a walk on the lot and see if we can find it. A lot of times they're going to find a different color that they like as a secondary or a color they didn't even know existed. But you want to acknowledge that they're looking for that right color. I'm looking for a red or a blue. Don't just start showing them other colors. You want to let them see that you're trying to find them the right color. And in your involvement with them looking for the right color, they're going to end up finding a color that they didn't even know existed or a different color. So the right color checkbox it's an odd one. But you don't want to make it simple is acknowledge that they're looking for a red half-ton and walk the lot with them. Don't just go straight to your computer and say, oh, we don't have any red F-150s or red Ram half-tons, because then they get up and leave. What you want to do is say, okay, a red half-ton, perfect, let's go take a look. And you walk the lot. And you may know that we don't even have one in stock, but the fact that you're trying to find them the right color checks off that box in their head. Okay, I got a guy looking for the right truck. And then they're going to say, hey, what about this black one? Oh, yeah, man, I didn't even see that one. And then you're going to show them the black one. And guess what? They end up leaving with a white one. Okay, it's crazy how it happens, but you want to show that you're looking for the right color for them. Okay, this next one is called high excitement. It kind of goes back to having fun, but it's kind of a different way. Having fun is talking about, having fun with the customer. High excitement is a different thing. A lot of customers, when they come in, they want to get excited about the car they're looking at, but they hide it because they don't want to show a weakness that, oh man, he's going to know I want to buy this car. So what you have to do is go above and beyond 100% of excitement. So if you're at 150% excitement and your customer's at a 50%, you guys will level out at about 100% each, because you're going to counter him and he's going to start coming up. His excitement's going to start building, and he may drag you down a little bit in your excitement by some negative comments or whatever, but you don't let that affect you. You're going to equal out. But high excitement is something that you love your product. Whether you sell Nissans, Rams, Toyotas, you got to convince yourself that you love the product, because that comes out in excitement. When you demonstrate that, hey, let's say you work at a Toyota store and you absolutely love the Tacoma. I mean, it's in your DNA that you love the Tacoma, and you get a customer that comes in wanting to look at Tacomas. That excitement level that you get, oh, I love the Tacoma. Come on, let me show you it. And you can start pointing out things that the customer didn't even realize existed on a Tacoma or a Tundra or a Sequoia or a Sienna. You know, you can go through all these things and have that high excitement level. You start stacking the odds of you're going to sell them a car, because the last customer or the last salesman they met at the other dealership was not excited at all. He could care less if you sold them a car or not, and that's why they left. If they're leaving you without buying a car, there's a reason why. You have to find the reason why. Was it a hidden checkbox that you didn't hit? Or was it that you failed in some of these checkboxes because you didn't do a good enough job? Okay, there's a reason why they leave without a product. Do everything you can to get them to buy today from you, and use excitement. Just like you hear the excitement out of my voice on the podcast, because I love helping you guys sell more cars. I vicariously live through my sales guys. Oh, great job, man. I get a high off of it. Well, when I get to help you guys sell more cars, and I get comments from you guys across the world now, thanks, Kyle, for helping me do this. Oh, I closed more deals. You have no idea how that makes me feel, and I love helping you guys. So the excitement I have right now in this sentence is the excitement you guys need to have when you're helping a customer on the car lot. And it will translate to them getting excited. It'll translate to them wanting to buy a car. All right, let's move on to the next checkbox. Trust building. Trust building comes in the form of a few things. One, never lie to your customer. Even if it docks points from you in your customer's eyes, right? It may sting a little bit by telling the truth, but in the end, the customers are going to see value and trust in you because you told them the truth. You have to tell them the truth, because that's going to build a long-term relationship, okay? You can't fool a customer with lies, because it will always be exposed. Whether it's after the sale or before, your manager's going to hear about it, and your career is not going to be a satisfying career that's going to last long at a dealership. You're going to find yourself bouncing around from dealership to dealership if you're lying to people. So you have to tell the truth. Another way you build trust is by knowing your product, knowing the process. When someone knows their process, knows their product, and doesn't lie, the trust from the customer goes through the roof. So always do the right thing. Protect your dealership at all costs, because your dealership is who writes the checks, who gets the vehicles in, and who provides a job. Protect the dealership. Never lie to your customer. Know your stuff, and you'll have so much trust with your customer that you'll have a customer for life. All right. Next checkbox is, how do you sound as a salesman? Are you using car lingos with your customer? Are you cussing in front of your customer? Right? Do you have slang that the customer doesn't even understand? Okay, so a very important checkbox is, how do you sound? How are you talking to your customers? Are you saying things that they understand, or are you saying things that only car business people understand? Remember, if you confuse the customer with certain things, they're going to want to think about it and leave. So make sure you're very clear on what you're saying to the customer. Make sure you're not saying lingo, car jargon type stuff, and have a clear presentation. And if you think the customer may have missed something because you said it too fast, or it was a very complicated feature on the vehicle, go back. Or you can ask them, does that make sense? Did I say that clear enough? Because sometimes this feature on this car confuses me as a salesperson. And reiterate with the customer if you need to go over it again, okay? Because there's a lot of stuff on those cars. There's a lot of stuff in the process that customers may not understand, and it's okay to ask them, hey, does that make sense? I know these things are so crazy and confusing on these cars now, but I want to make sure before I move on to the next feature that you understood what I was saying, because I get confused, right? Put it back on yourself so they don't feel dumb, and make sure you sound like a professional. All right, next checkbox is comparing the competition. It's just as important to know your competition's product as it is yours. Okay? Now, I know the manufacturers, when you do your training, and the training takes forever, and you got to do that test at the end, but your manufacturers have competitive comparisons, vehicles in that class that match up to the vehicle you're selling. Those are important things, because you can save your customer time from visiting 3 other dealerships to look at the competition. The competition of an Alfa Romeo Giulia is a BMW, a Mercedes, and an Audi. So when I was on the floor selling the Alfa Romeo Giulia, which is a hard enough car to sell in itself, if I could point out all the things that the Audi had, the BMW had, and the Mercedes had versus what my Alfa Romeo Giulia had, I just saved them a lot of time from going to compare and shop because I built all that trust. I'm not lying to them. These are all the reasons why you should buy my car over the competition. And they didn't have to shop. All right, Kyle, let's see what the numbers are. Perfect. Follow me. Okay, so you have to know your competition. Now, if you're selling Audi cars, you're not gonna worry about comparing to a Ram 3500. So you have to know what classes to compare. You're not going to learn every car in the entire planet, but know the product that compares to the product you're selling, and you're gonna see from the customer more buying. They're gonna buy from you because more buying queues because they don't have to go shop, and you can tell them, I'm gonna save you so much time because I know the other product just like I know my product. So let's go over the pluses and minuses of each, and then you can decide for yourself if you want to go with my product or you want to keep shopping. And after you've built so much trust, you've showed why the comparisons are better with your product, they don't need to go shop, and they won't. Okay? All right. Next checkbox, questions answered. Make sure when you're doing the process, you ask your customers, do you have any questions before I move on? You got to make sure you're letting them talk when you're doing a walk around. Okay, if you go over a feature and you say, do you have any questions about it? You're involving them in the process. Okay, and when they say, no, I don't got any questions, then you know you've done a good enough presentation on that part, right? The payload or the towing or the whatever feature you're showing them. But you got to make sure you're letting the customer even ask questions. Okay, so when you start a product presentation, you can tell them, hey, if I go over something and you have a question, stop me. Tap me on the shoulder, stop me, because I want to make sure I answer every question for you before we move on. By doing that, it shows that you're actively listening and you're involving the customer in the buying process. And the more questions you can get answered, then there will be no doubt that they want to buy a car from you because you've answered everything. You've gone over everything. You've overcome every objection they could possibly have. So make sure you're answering their questions and make sure you're allowing them time to ask questions. Okay? Let's move on to the next checkbox. Compare selection. So a lot of times customers come in with a thought process of, I know exactly what I want. And a lot of times salespeople will go straight to the computer, pull it up in front of the lot, and it's not what the customer wanted. Okay? So at that point, what do? You let them walk? No, you compare. That's why walking the lot with your customer is so important, because they think they know what they want. When I say the term buyers are liars, sometimes they don't even realize they're lying. I want a red half-ton F-150, right? 4-wheel drive. Okay, they don't know that that's not what they need, and that's not what they end up even leaving with. They ended up leaving with an Expedition. They lied to me, but they didn't realize they lied because they just didn't know that the Expedition can tow as much. It has 3 rows of seats, and it did everything they wanted it to do, plus some. Okay, so you got to make sure you compare your selection in stock. Now, if you pull up, if they say, hey, I want this red F-150 in stock or this blue Audi, and you bring it up and they want to buy it, perfect, sell it to them. You're not going to go compare selection at that point. Customers know what they want also. It's not like they don't know. So if they say, I want this truck in stock, sell it to them. Okay? But if they want to leave after you bring it up, that's when you have to compare selection and say, well, hold on, before you go, let me show you what else I got in stock, because sometimes I'm surprised that we have something in stock that you may love. Okay, you got a few minutes? Perfect, follow me. Okay? So before we move on to the next checkbox, I want to talk about another item up for bid here is the overall salesman. Okay, it's not really a checkbox because it includes all the checkboxes. So you got to look at yourself overall as a salesperson. Am I doing all the right things for my customer to feel comfortable enough to buy a car? Okay, so when you're doing these checkboxes in your head and you're going over them with the customer, you still have to read the situation, okay? Every customer is unique. Every scenario is unique. Okay, so when you're doing these check boxes in your head, if you can close the deal after half of them, then close the deal, okay? So remember, that's like reading the room. You got to read the scenario, read the customer, and think about it as overall as a salesman. Am I doing the right thing for the customer to buy? And am I stacking the odds in my favor for the customer to buy? And that's where these check boxes come in, okay? Now, when you come inside and it's time to work the deal, there's a few more check boxes you got to worry about. Okay, so write this one down. Are you getting the customer's numbers in a timely manner? Is it taking you an hour to get a pencil? Okay, so when you sit down at the desk, if you're typing in at 2 words per minute, right, you're on the customer's time. When they say, okay, I think I want to buy this car, let's go see what the numbers are, the time changes. Now you got to go in fast motion. On the lot, the customer will take as much time as they want from you. But as soon as they say, hey, I want to buy the car, or let's go work numbers, all of a sudden it's a time crunch. You spent 2 hours outside looking at different vehicles, and now it's time to work numbers, and you're in a time crunch, right? So they use most of their time outside finding the right product. Now it's go time. So checkbox number 1 when you're at your desk is get the numbers in a timely manner. And you start with getting all your paperwork filled out completely before you visit the desk. Get everything you need from the customer, then go visit the desk. Also, precision, correct spelling, things like this speed up the process. So remember to precision, get their current driver's license, get their current insurance, get their trade info properly. Get all these things right for when you go to work the deal to be precise. Customers like it when you're precise and you cross the T's and dot the I's. Confident. When you present the numbers in a confident way, you're going to get more sales coming your way because the customers, when you have all the confidence, you've done all the check boxes, they just say, all right, let's see what the payments are when you come back with a pencil, and you close them down fast. Having confidence is a very, very important thing when you're presenting numbers. If you show any chinks in your armor that there might be a discount available, things like that, guess what they're going to ask for? A discount. So when you come back with those numbers, make sure you're confident. This is how we do business here. Let's see what the payments are going to be. Let's get you a good interest rate, and let's get this process going, okay? And we talked about this earlier, but being professional, that goes part of being an overall salesman is being professional. Always be professional. Do the right thing. Keep it clean. Keep it good. Never waver. Just be a professional overall, and the customer will buy. So I hope you wrote some of this stuff down in the hidden checklist. Customers are not going to come out and say, hey, here's my checklist to buy a car, and if you hit them all, I'll buy a car. No. These are things that you have to do on the lot as a salesman with salesman intuition and know-how. Hit these check boxes. Don't allow them to dictate the process of the sale, and you will sell more cars. Okay, it's all about helping the customer. It's all about going through the process, hitting these check boxes, and guess what? You're going to start seeing more sales every single month. This is it. That's the end of the episode. Again, this is Kyle Glaz. Thank you for listening. I appreciate the support. If you have any feedback on this, message me on Instagram. Find me on Facebook, Kyle Glaz. I'm here to help you guys 100%. I love what I do, and I'm happy that this podcast is in 67 countries now. Tens of thousands and thousands of salesmen are listening to it. I'm happy to help. Thank you guys. Kyle Glaz signing out.